What are you doing in here? I'm replacing the power steering pump in the Grand Cherokee with a WJ power steering pump for stronger steering and to add a power steering cooler to the Grand Cherokee as well. You're adding a 99 to 2004 power steering pump from a Jeep Grand Cherokee? That's correct. I removed the power steering pump from the newer Grand Cherokee, the 99 to 2004, to put in this older first gen Grand Cherokee. That sounds like a cool mod. And you're adding the power steering cooler as well? That's correct. Hold up, you're doing way too much work though. You know you don't have to replace that whole power steering off of your Grand Cherokee. You can just replace the pressure valve. Wait a minute, you're telling me I only have to replace the pressure valve on this power steering pump and I don't need to replace the whole pump and try to figure out how to reroute all these power steering hoses? Yep, that's what I'm talking about. You only need to replace the pressure valve in that power steering pump. Here, let me show you. Hey, welcome back to the channel. We got the trailer with the new mods. We're gonna put the winch on it, and we got the battery mounted so we can pull the donor Jeep, we're gonna call it now, that 2004 Jeep Grand Cherokee. That's gonna be our donor vehicle for the WJ that we're gonna put on the ZJ. So let's go get the Jeep. Well, we made it to the Jeep. This is gonna be the donor for the WJ power steering that we're gonna be putting in Goldie. If you guys remember this Jeep, yeah, the motor's blown in it. Needs a head gasket. It's got that 4.7. Not a big fan of it, so we're gonna part it out. We're gonna steal some goodies off of that Jeep. So let's pull it out of the rhubarb and throw it on the trailer. We're doing a little shop shenanigans before we grab the Jeep. We're destroying this camper. We're gonna use that frame off that camper for a future trailer project, or we might just sell it. This camper has to go. But now we gotta move it because we've gotta get to the other side of the camper to destroy it with the tractor forks. So we're gonna grab the shop truck that we call Banana. You guys have seen it before. Tractor guys. We're tractor guys. We got the WJ out of the rhubarb over there. Now we get to test out our new setup on the trailer with the winch. This can be exciting. Winch up the Jeep. Looks like the gas tank's about ready to fall out of here. We got the Jeep loaded. Time to bring it home and start parting this baby out. Well, it's been a couple days and we got the donor Jeep, new donor Jeep, unloaded. And now it's time to strip that pump out of that Cherokee. But first we used the old, $100 beater as a push truck to push this Grand Cherokee so we can be protected from the elements. But now we're gonna have to replace the bumper. She a little beat up. If you're going to a pull apart or a junkyard, you're gonna have to remove the upper radiator hose. It's just gonna make your life a lot easier. And you'll need a 20mm to loosen this pressure hose. Well, here's another tool that you'll need if you go to the pull parts or your local junkyard. You'll need a 1-inch socket with a long breaker bar to break that pressure valve loose. You got it loose now and it should pop right out. Once you break it loose, it's actually quite easy to turn with your hand. we had to remove the power steering pump. So we had to pull two 13mm bolts. So you'll need a 13mm socket, deep well. And then you'll need a, some kind of little hook, because then when we got this main piece out here, then you have this little plunger, but you cannot use a magnet. It's not magnetized. It's like aluminum or something. Therefore, we had to pull the pump so we could, get this little plunger out. And then from there, you need a little, it's a loud plane. You need a little hooky to get the spring. So knowing that you have to pull the whole pump, you could use the WJ pump on your ZJ. A lot of models don't line up. So there's some different mods you have to do, as far as maybe you might have to shim it. I think it bolts right on. If I remember right, I've done this once. I'm trying to think. Anyways, there's probably lots of videos out there and you can watch those. But let's go back to the other Jeep, the ZJ, and put this high pressure valve in the ZJ. Welcome back to the ZJ. Now we will replace the high pressure valve in the Grand Cherokee. I'm gonna kind of let you guys just figure out what sizes you need, because ideally you're probably gonna have your Jeep in the garage at this point, so you're gonna have all your tools. So I'm not sure if every model is the same with these sizes of wrenches that you'll need and the different tools you'll need. I was just trying to help you out if you have to go to a pull apart, or you got a beater WJ laying around that you don't want anymore. All right, let's take this valve out. We ran into a situation. We have the hose is rusted to the valve. So the valve, focus camera, see the valve moves? So the valve loosens. So therefore the hose is rusted to the valve. So therefore it's a hard line and I can't break it loose. And I can't get another wrench on the bottom of this valve. So if you don't live in Minnesota, I'm assuming this hose will come right off your valve. But if you do, it's probably rusted like ours. So I'm just gonna cut the hose and then I'm gonna replace the hose so we can get that valve out. Well, the magnet trick worked on this one. This one's metal. So maybe we don't have to take the power steering off. And that would be cool. And don't mind the man sweat right now. Just played a little basketball with the boys and yeah, feeling a little sweaty. Okay, let me show you the comparison of these two valves. Here's the two different styles of pressure relief valves. This is the one out of the ZJ, and yes, I got the hose off the fitting. This rubber in here was completely rotted and like wedged inside here. And here's the WJ pressure relief valve, and you can tell the only difference here, because the spring tension feels the same, the only difference is this relief valve itself. So the combination is going to be these two. I'm going to stick with the WJ spring, and then we're going to use the original fitting off the ZJ. The ZJ fitting, so therefore we can use the same hose. I'm no engineer. I did watch a video on this on YouTube, of course, and a guy pressure tests these two different valves, and there's quite a bit of a difference. If I find that video again, I will post it down in the comments area, and you guys can check that out too. He went into great detail on the different pressures that these two valves have. Call it a night for myself, and I will see you guys in a couple seconds, but I'm gonna have to do some research to get a new pressure hose to our new WJ valve. So I'll go do that, and I'll be right back. Well, it's the next day and we got the pressure relief valve in. We removed the old pressure hose on the power steering and we put the new pressure hose in. The new pressure hose we just got from O'Reilly, and we had to do some massaging to make it work. I don't know why that stuff doesn't just fall in place, but we got it in there. So now the next step is to to remove the power steering cooler off the WJ and to try to mount it. And then we're gonna mount that cooler on the ZJ. Well, off camera, I ended up letting the angle grinder slip and we cut all these brackets out, and now we have the power steering cooler out. Just took it out with the brackets and everything. So let's go see what it looks like on the ZJ. Good thing we used the $100 beater to move the WJ in the lean-to, because it's a rainy morning, so it's nice to stay dry under this lean-to. All right, let's get back in the garage. Well, here's the new cooler, and we have to get it behind the Patriot grill, which I haven't taken this grill off since we installed it over a year ago when we did the Patriot grill on this Grand Cherokee. So this might get interesting, because then I built these free tube fenders, and yeah, gotta try to figure out if we can unfasten some of these screws and hopefully the grill will come off, so then we can put our cooler in front of the radiator. All right, let's get that grill off. Well, we got the cooler halfway mounted. Use these zip ties that you mount coolers. I bought this bag quite a while ago and had some left over, and we ditched the bracket that was on there. It almost worked. It was a little far away. It almost fit in that hole. It did fit in when it was like this, but then the bar was angled and then the cooler didn't really sit square. But right now, it's looking real good. So we'll zip those radiator zip ties in and see what we gotta do to plumb the cooler into the reservoir. Ooh, good thing I don't have Popeye forearms. We're putting those clips through the radiator. Thank God I don't have big Popeye arms, because otherwise I would have had to take the shroud off and probably take the battery out to get my arm through there. Another reason not to work out. Sitting pretty well. Let me show you. I like it. I like everything about it. Sitting in there real nice. And then the lines will come in through here. We removed the old lines off the cooler. So now I'm just gonna take this original line from the reservoir into the cooler line, and then run the cooler line into the steering box. Put the grill back on, and we're done with this project. We should probably put some fluid in it, then we'll be done. Then the fun starts. We gotta go out in the woods and see if we can turn these 37s a little bit better on those big rocks. Well, we did it. We replaced that pressure relief valve on the ZJ from the WJ and added the power steering cooler to this Grand Cherokee. Yeah, that was a much easier install by using just that pressure relief valve, wasn't it? Instead of swapping out that whole power steering assembly and trying to reroute those hoses. Yeah, that was much easier. Thanks for all your help. Yeah, I'm glad the mod worked out. So how are we gonna tell that this mod is a good upgrade for everyone else? Everyone's gonna have to check the next video where we take this Grand Cherokee out in the woods and thrash on some big rocks and some big hills to see if this power steering upgrade is worth your time and efforts to upgrade that pressure valve. That sounds like a good time. I'm gonna have to watch that next video and to see how this mod performs out in the woods. Yeah, I think you and I are gonna be impressed by how much better this power steering is gonna feel. Just by replacing that pressure relief valve and gaining more capacity with power steering fluid while cooling it, I feel like this mod is gonna be pretty rad with those minor upgrades. Well, glad I could help out. See you around. Wait. Thanks for watching, and until next time.